Hi everybody, my name is Eric Jacobs and I am the North of 60 Gamer, and welcome to North of 60 Gaming Channel. Today we are going to be looking at a punch card computer game, the Turing Machine. And this is a deduction machine where you're going to try to guess the numbers, and it looks like it's a very popular game. A lot of people are playing the daily on it, almost like a Wordle Colt at this point, except they're using, of course, the Turing Machine. So let's go down to the table and take a quick look at Turing Machine. Here is the Turing Machine from the makers of Decrypto, Fabian Griddle, Ivan Levet, and Scorpion Mosk. I'm not sure what that means. Looks easy enough. Codes are just a puzzle, a game just like any other from Alan Turing. 7 million problems to solve. Let's pull it apart. It's for 14 and up, 14 players and about 14 players. 14 and up, 1 to 4 players, and it takes about 20 minutes. Let's open the box. You see the box is just a giant punch box too. So here we are in the box. Of course, we have the rules right there. We have some cards. We've got, looks like the punch card type things. Lots more cards. And there's 7 million combinations here. I'm just putting together my machine here, or whatever this is. Trying not to destroy it. That's the problem when you get something like that. There we are. Not a particularly expensive game at all. Let's just see how it goes together. There we go. We have our thing put together again, just like that. Woohoo! And it looks like what we're going to do is separate all our... Well, we're going to have to figure this out. But I have a feeling that it's all ones, and then it has something to do with these cards, I guess. Oh, I see why the dry erase is, because there's a check mark off here, too, as well. Okay, we're going to have to explore this just a little bit further. Is this going to fit in here? Yes, it does. That's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to go off and read the rules. And these, I don't know how these are going to fit. Like that, I guess. And I doubt very much. These look like 100/100s. I bet you I could sleeve them. Well, I can hear my wife rolling her eyes right this moment. But let's take this out, organize it, read it. I'm going to take one of these and actually, looks like I can laminate it. Get my laminator out as well while we're at it. So it didn't take very long to organize. In fact, the package is still closed here. I have covered the answers right there. And here are the problems that have come with us, come with the game. Though you can go to, was it turingmachine.info, and you can actually play all types of things online. So I just read the QR code, and you can see here that I can actually play the daily challenges. I can play in multiple kinds of modes, solo or cooperative or competitive, classic, extreme, or nightmare, easy, standard, and hard, and then how many verifiers, and then you could generate it, and then it'll come up with a unique game. There's about 7 million combinations here. Okay. I've laminated this so that way I can use it again and again, and I have a handy pen right there. I have preset this up, and you can see that I have set this up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we will take 5 numbers. We can have 5 numbers to try to guess from, so each of the 3-digit number is basically going to be from 1 to 5. So right there you have 5 times 5 times 5, basically, or 5 times 4 times 3, basically. It depends, because you could have 555, I suppose, as a number. And then from there, we're going to do our setup. So in order to set up, you can see we're going to just go with number 1, and we're going to be looking for A, B, C, and D. So you can see A, B, C, and D right there. And we'll just cut that off a little bit to give us a little bit more room. And then we're going to be looking for 4, 9, 11, and 14. And 14. And there's about 40 of these cards, 43 of these cards. So there's 44, actually. Okay. And then we're going to look for the numbers here in these decks. And so we'll be looking for 447, 646. Okay, so we may have to open up a few of these. So we found everything we need for the first one. The difficult factor is easy. And we have our cards here that were numbered. So this should be 447. And if we look over top, you can see that it is 447. Now, normally if we were playing around the table, we'd do it like that. Because it's me, I'm just going to have everything face us correctly. So these all are numbered. And we're going to show you what these cards do. And we're going to explain a little bit about what we're really trying to do here. This is a deduction game. A, B, C, and D. That's just going to help us remember where they belong. So when we talk about the Turing machine, we're really talking about a state of something. I think the best way to do this is to, let me get some coins. So we're going to explain how this works, and I think the best way to do that is I'm going to use my little clay coins here, and we're going to look at this card specifically. So if we look at this card, the test says that some number, which would be in our orange square, in this card it is either going to be less than 4, greater than 4, or equal to 4. That's our test. So here, this is our measure. We have 4 coins. In this case, 5 coins. So let's just say we have our four coins. We want to measure what's true. So let's just say we had 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we had put 5 in the orange square, the only test that would be true would be that it's greater than 4. Now if I had 4, then the only measure of 4 against 4 is it's equal to 4. However, if you're less than 4, it can be 3, 2, or 1. So that's how that might work. So really what we're really looking at is what is the state of something. And of course they give us a tool. So what we're going to be doing is using this to check our hypotheses or our statement of what we think something is going to be true. So when we take our fancy card here, you can see we have a spot there for our number. So let's just say we decide that we are going to, first of all, we know that we don't have an E and an F, so we can just cross these off our board. We will not be using them. What we're going to do at this point then is think about all the things that we can do and what tests we can make here. This is an interesting one. The number of 3s in the code. So we could have 0 3s, 1 3, 2 3s, or 3 3s. They don't compare the numbers though. So we wouldn't know where that 3 would exist. So now I do not know the number. I only watched Rodney Smith a little bit just to get the idea of how these work. So let's take a look and test some hypotheses here. So we are going to take a 4, 2, and a 3. Let's take a 3. Okay. Now I can only test 3 out of the 4 hypotheses. These are our verifiers. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my machine. So here we have we're going to take them just out here. We have a 4. We have a blue 2, whoa, a yellow 2, I should say, and a purple 3. There we are, just like that. So 4, 2, 3. Now, one of the things we could hypothesize and say is, well, we know, can we test for a 3? So in B, we know that there is 0 3s. There could be 1 3, 2 3s, or 3 3s, but we're not going to know what. So basically what we're going to say is that we're really just going to eliminate whether there's 3s or not. We really won't know if there's 1, 2, or 3 because we only have true or false. So let's take that up. One of the things we have to do is make sure that these line up like this, and you can see the X. So the X says that none of these are true. If one of these was true, I would have a check mark there. So our first hypothesis then is that says B. We can eliminate 3s. Just like that. We can eliminate a 3. So the next check, let us take a look at blue versus red. This might be interesting to do. Or let's do C first. Now C says it's something different. C says, is blue 4 greater than 2? Well, it might be, in which case, or less than 2, in which case it'll be true. If it is greater, blue is greater, which is what we're saying, we should see a true, but it could be equal as well. So let's just take a look and we're going to test this. Again, we're going to pick this up, make sure that it aligns, and there we go, X. What we're saying is 4 greater than 2. So the blue number, which can't be a 4 or a 5 because it's not greater than 2, right? So, or less than 2. Actually, it's false. So we know it's greater than 2. We know it's at least the blue is not a 1, right? But it still could be 2. It could be 2 or equal to. So this could be a 4, and it could be a 5. But as far as I can say, so actually we can deduce another one then by saying that is blue, which is 4, greater than 2, less than 2? No, it's not. Therefore, we can strike off the 1. However, is 4 greater than 2? Well, yes, it is. But I have a belief that blue is not equal to. But I'm pretty sure that I'm not 100% sure. Gut tells me. Now we have to deduce why that doesn't work. Because if blue is greater than 2, which it is, which we have a yes, it still might be equal to. It still might be equal to. So the only thing we've really eliminated is that first one. And we'll put that back down. Okay. So we know that if we look at B, C, we know that the triangle is not less than the square. And we know B that there are no 3s. No 3s. So we did C. The only other one that we could look at for a measure is to look at another good one, which might be see where this is in response to a 4, or we can look at and see whether or not blue, which is the smallest number. So my hypotheses would say that 4, is it less than 2 or 3? Well, we'd have to come down here. If this was true, then that means one of these would be true. So 3 purple, that's not greater than this or that. Well, it might be. So I'm going to come over here for now, and that's because this was an easy one to test. Is 2? So basically, what we're trying to figure out is 2. Is it 2? If we get a check mark here, we know whatever it is less than 4. If this is true if we don't get a check mark. Sorry, if it's don't get a check mark, it'll be less than 4 because we're tested 2 versus 4. If it's equal or greater than, we're going to get a check mark because we're trying to test whether or not this is less than 4. So we'll take what we've done before, make sure it lines up, and we're probably going to get, there it is, there's the x. So we know that the 2 is not less than 4. So we can pretty much guarantee that it's not a 2 or a 1, and that is the middle number. We can pretty much guarantee that it's not a 2 or a 1. And that is the first round. And we'll put that back, and I'm hoping that I can get this right. So basically then we put our numbers back, 4, 2, and 3. Then this is where we start to get into some more interesting things, is where we try to figure out if we know that this is not 2 or 1, because we know that it's either, it could be 3, because we didn't test the 3. So it could be a 3, but we know from this test there were no 3s. So we know that it's going to be a 4 or a 5. So it's either it's equal to a 4 or it's greater than 4. So we know it's equal to or greater than 4. So it's either going to be a 4 or 5. So let's put our next number together, and we're going to go, let's see if we can find the smallest number. So we're going to say purple's going to be 1. We're going to say orange is 4. And let's just say blue is 5. Okay. So again, we're going to start building up. So we have our 5, our 5, our 4, and our purple 1. There we are. 5, 4, 1. So what we're looking to do at this point is we want to test the hypotheses to see whether purple is less than 5. So that's what we're looking for. What color number is the smallest? So because this could be a 1, though I don't think it is. I think it's either a 4 or 5 here. So I think a good test is to come back over to our A. We lost our little mark here. Woo. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to pick it up, and we're testing whether or not 4 is equal to 4, because if it's not, we know it's not less, we know that it's going to be greater than 4. Oh, and there's the question. So we guessed correctly, because it was either going to be a 4 or 5. It could have been a 3. So we've kind of split the difference, and we got a 4. So we know that this is a 4. So we have discovered one of our numbers. See, so either 5 or 4, 1. I think another good test would be, we know we don't want to have any 3s. I think we'd come back over here, and now we look at D. Whoop, and that was, we did A, didn't we? So we did A again. We're going to come over to D this time. And we're going to, whoops. So basically what we're trying to do is test which one is the smallest number. So purple, if it's the smallest number, is going to be less than orange or blue. If 5 is the smallest number, it's going to be over here really. So one of these other two numbers would have to be less. So let us just see if we can figure this one out. So we're going to pull it up. Oh, we have a check mark. So our hypothesis says that is purple less than the triangle and the blue square? Well, we know that if this is a 4 and this is a 5, we know that it's less than both of them. So it could be a 3, a 2, or a 1. So it could be a 2 or a 1, but it's not a 4 or 5. And we know this is a 4 already. So I'm going to, so that we know that's a 4. And we know this is not a 4 or a 5, right? Or else it would be a false statement. So I think this is a, yeah. So I think that is a 1. Could be a 2, I suppose. So it could be a 2, because 2 is still smaller than 5. So it could be still 1 or 2. I could be out to lunch. We have one more test that we can perform. The only meaningful test at this point is comparing blue and orange. And we know that if orange is a 4, then there's either two conditions. There's either the blue is going to be larger or it's going to be smaller. If it's smaller, it's going to be the 2. If it's larger, it's going to be the 5. Because they're not equal. Right now we're testing whether it's larger. So we're going to pick up this guy. And we have an X. So we know that blue is not larger than the orange. It could be equal, but we know that it's not larger. It could be smaller. Okay. And that was a D. That was only our second draw. Oh, we tested that one. Sorry, that was C. No, we tested D, and then we tested C. So we know that this is greater than the orange. Sorry, greater than the orange. Oh. Sorry. It's false. Sorry, that's where it is. It's less than the orange, or equal to. So it's either going to be a 4 or 2. And 1. Okay, so the triangle is not greater than that. Okay, so we've tested round 2. I think we're getting closer to the number. So this is either going to be a 2 or 1. Now we have to figure out how do we test that. We know that this test is a 4. We know that there's no 3s. So the only relevant tests at this point is these two tests. So let us test the blue. So I have a feeling that we have maybe there's a 4 and this could be a 1. I'm starting to think this is a 1. How do we test for 1? Purple. The only test for 1 is purple. So we can make a false assumption here about a triangle. So we have to check if the triangle is greater, and we know it's not a 5. So we could test the 2 here. We know this would be false, and 2 or 1. So if we 5, 4, yeah, we know. I'm just trying to figure out the best. This is where it gets tricky. Or is it equal? We could just do an equals. We can come in here and try to determine if is 2 or 1. Orange. I still think orange is smaller. Well, this could be false. So let's just say that we're going to go with a 2 here in our purple. We know this is a 4. And we're going to measure 2. And we're going to measure 1. We know 1's false. Well, actually, we know it's not 1. So let's put a 1 here. Well, we know that's here. I'm just trying to think here. Well, we didn't. Did we test D originally, the first one? So let's go 4 here. Okay, let's do this one. I'm having some trouble here trying to figure out, okay, we're going to go 2 and 4. I don't know what we're going to do here. The reason why I'm testing this is the blue against the red here. So I'm actually going to test the theory that, so we're going to test, what are we testing? We're testing 2, 4, and 2. I don't know. Oops, 2 is the purple, right? 2, 4, 2. And then we're going to test this theory that says that blue is less than orange. So I think it should be true. And it is true. So we know that this is not 4. We know this is 2. Now we know there's no 3s. And we know this is less than 4. So really, and 2, I would expect if we were going to check this, that this should be false. Because if we look at the 2, 4 is not less than, there's no less than conditions here. It's just out of curiosity, let's take a look at that. But I think this will come out false. Yeah, false. And why is it false? Because these two are equal. And this is not less than both of them, right? Because it's got to be less than both. So 2 is equal to 2. Orange is not less than the blue or the purple. And purple is less than that, but it's equal to that. So our hypothesis is correct. So I think so far we have a 2, we have a 4. The only last number that I'm really not sure about is this 1. And we need a purple. And how do we test the purple? Here's your only test for purple here. So putting that aside, we're only going to test, we've tested what we're going to test, right? We did B and C. So the last test really is, let's just put these back, it's going to be 1 in the purple and 4. So there's only one test that I can use, which is up here. Now you say, why is that, Harry? Because if this is true, then this is going to be a 1. So let us take a 2, 4, 1. 2, 4, and don't mind my idiot dog. And I would expect this to be true. And it is true. So the number is 2, 4, 1. So the answer was 2, 4, 1. I was right. Yay! This is the easy level. As we saw. And let's have some final thoughts. Now, I've only played once. I'm going to go out and set it up on my bigger table out there and play through a few more rounds. But let's talk about it. So I did win. I checked. It is indeed 2, 4, 1. So the evidence is correct. 2, 4, 1 was my final assumption. I did not know that. So if you think I cheated, I did not. You can take my word for it or not. I would hope you would, because I'm an honest person. Look at this face. Mama loves my face. So I was playing this right out of the box, out of the blue. You could saw that I covered it off. Took the first one. You can see that I covered it off and picked the first one, and 2, 4, 1 is the answer. There's 7 million of these things. It's going to be the new Wordle. They could put this out, and people would love it who have a mathematical mind. And I started out as a programmer in 1995. I've been in IT, so I understand a little bit of the mechanics of what's going on. But you really have to think about this in terms of what do you think the test needs to be? Okay, the first one you kind of test, and that's kind of like, what's an easy test? Well, there's 4 tests. So, okay, I'm going to test it. And so if I had tested a 4, I would know right away that you're going to be greater than 4 or less than 4. If it was that. And then you could test. So that's like if you start thinking in the term of a binary search. Okay, I'm going to take half. Okay, and it's either going to be greater than 4 or 4 or less. Okay, great. Well, we know that if we got the check mark here, we know it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. But if we got the check mark here, we know it was a 5. We don't have to search anymore. We know that number. This one's a little trickier because you really don't know how many threes. So this is just a check. Do we have any threes? No, we don't have any threes. Great. We've eliminated threes. Right off the bat, there's really no more tests you can do here because it doesn't tell you whether it's 1, 2, or 3 threes. It just says there's either 0 or 1. We have threes. We don't have threes. This is more or less the same thing. It doesn't tell you if you've set up your numbers correctly, like the 2, 4, 1. We know that 1 is going to do this for sure. Because we tested 2, 4, 2, and we knew that was wrong. Right? Because it should have been, if it was not equal and it was the orange, then that would have been it would have to have been less than the 2. So these would both have to be 1 to fulfill this condition. So we know that that wasn't true because we knew that this was a 4 already. So we know basically how this runs. It's just a matter of how fast. And I did it in 4 turns. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it was fun to figure out. And I'm looking forward to doing the next one for sure. And there's hundreds of combinations, so I'm really looking forward to that. So let's start. Theme-wise, well, you know what? I'm a computer programmer by heart. Yeah, the theme works for me. It's simplistic. It's fun. It makes me sit and think. And solo-wise, it's great. Could I have gotten 3? I would have got lucky, but it's all about verification, really. It's how do you verify that you've got that correct number, and that it took to the 4th one to really verify it. I had a sneaking suspicion it was a 1, but I couldn't really verify it. I could make an educated guess on the 3rd one that it was a 2, 4, 1. So the last test really was this. Perfect. So mechanic-wise, theme-wise, loved it. Mechanic-wise, loved it. Really easy. Pull out your numbers. Is it yes? Does it meet the condition or not? Strike it off and run. This may not be for everyone because it's going to make you think. And if you're not a person who thinks like that, perhaps it might be a little problems trying to think of the numbers and how these look. But as a programmer, patterns are something you get used to, or the algorithms. When Turing looked at this, he was looking how to replace human computers. And this is what really I was doing, is being a human computer and then verifying the results of my tests, right? So I have a state. Is it 4, 2, 3? No, that is not the state of the numbers, right? But what do we know about the numbers after the first round? We knew there was no 3s. Perfect. Then we go on from there. And then we keep checking the state. Here's the other numbers in this state. No, we're not because of this reason. And we keep checking that state of the numbers until we finally figure out that the state is 2, 4, 1 after replacing all the numbers. And that's what Turing had started doing, was replacing those zeros and ones. How do you tell if you have pairs? You just X every pair out until you have no more pairs left. And then you're either going to have leftover ones or you're going to have leftover zeros. Ideally, you're going to have leftover nothings. So you really got that 3 states again. Or it's really 2 states, really, that are true. You either have a lot of pairs or you don't have a pair. And then you can test for the 0 and 1 what's left over, and that's called programming, of course. So we have some great mechanics. The rules were easy. The theme is great. This game was, less than $30? 7 million ways to play? At my age? That's great. It'll take me to the end of my life to test every one. So I think that's an okay test by me. But that is it. Fun game. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully that explanation was pretty muddled at the beginning. But basically thinking of, if you think of an abacus, right? Do you remember the Chinese abacuses where you're pushing numbers up and down, and you have basically 10 numbers, and every time you get to that 10th number, you're going to push them all down and push the 10 up, and then you have 1 and 0, so you have 10. And then if you add one more, you get 11. And then if you add two more, you get 13, right? And if I add 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get 18. And so we keep changing that state of the abacus as we know more about what we're adding, you know. So if we're adding 11 as our first number and want to add 5 to it, we're adding 11, we have 5, the finished state is 16. That's about the easiest way I can explain it. Other than that, my name is Harry Jacobs. I am the North of 60 Gamer. This is the North of 60 Gaming channel, and I thank you for putting up with this explanation of the Turing Machine game. I loved it. I can't wait to play again. In fact, I'm going to set it up on the big table at this point and play it again. I may play it all night. I'm still on vacation. Thanks, everybody. Oh, don't forget to comment. Have you played it? Let me know. What do you think of it? Hit the like button. It just helps let me know that you were watching it, enjoyed it. I gave away the farm. Sorry. But, you know, there's 7 million combinations, so have heart that there's 6,999,999 more combinations that you can play. And hit the swirly subscribe on the way out, and we'll see you next time. I don't know what I'm going to play next time. I'm really looking at Quad. Is it Quad Warriors? Yeah, Quad Warriors. That's a funky programming game, really. So maybe staying on this theme. Anyway, we'll talk to you all later, and I'm going to have some tea.